Jesus, I love you. Oh my. And you are welcome in. You're welcome in this place. I'm lost without you. Can't do nothing without you. Oh no. And you are welcome in. You're welcome in this place. My heart says yes. My heart says yes to your will, to your way. And you are welcome in. You're welcome in this place.
Greetings and welcome to MentorMe Memorable Moments. We are here and we got an exciting program for you tonight. But first we want to welcome 135 nations in all 50 states to WLVS Radio. We are live and Listen Vision radio station, and this is MentorMe Memorable Moments.
This is my co-host, Tracy.
I am the
Everette,
host.
Duncan. Look, my co-host
no.
today, right? And I'm William Craig III, Tracy's co-host.
But you know what? It doesn't matter because we're all on equal playing field because we have a lot of information to bring on any segment that we're here. And tonight is our mental health segment. So we do have a guest with us tonight that we're going to introduce to you. That is Felicia. And she is going to be talking about her book, talking about herself. Felicia Jamison, I apologize. But we're going to start off first with our Chop Shop segment with Dwayne because he's going to bring some youth empowerment information to us. So everyone, Dwayne Ross.
This is a kingdom banger. What up? It's the chop. It's time to bring that weight to the front. It's time to chop it up. Let's get it. For sure, we gon' just call this the chop chop. Big up Epiphany. It's the chop chop. Let's get it. Chop chop. Let's go. Hey, hey, what does it take to make you chop chop? Maybe in the face of this weight will make you chop chop. I ain't talking.
Hey, I hope y'all chopping it up. What's going on, y'all?
I had to chop it up.
Co-host, and coach. Miss Jameson, everybody, how y'all doing out there? Hey, listen,
good.
This is an awesome opportunity, awesome show. We're talking about young people, and we're coming from the place in the Bible where it says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart. And here's the thing, though, what age is old?
That's right.
So,
Still learning.
and so when we talk about empowering youth and we're talking about our young people, we want to develop them. So if you can go back to the developing of our youth, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But we also have a small segment. But it takes a village to raise a child. But the question is, who's in the village? Mm-hmm. And so when we've been talking about different things, over the last couple of months, we talked about a number of different things. But one of the things about moms and their role and how they can empower young men and women when they are in a situation with no father. Okay. We also talked during fatherhood time, about the fathers who are missing in the house and, how they're missing in action, or those that are outside the home, how they're going to empower their young people. Right. But then, you talk about the visions and the things that people see on a regular basis. And right now, there's quite a bit for our young people to have to really go through. They have to sift through a lot because there's so access to all kind of information. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we talk about, every child is being raised. Whether you're raising them or not, they're getting raised. Mm-hmm. And they're getting raised in situations with backgrounds of people that maybe you don't have, you haven't even sat down with. Right. You have some teachers right now that are having relationships with their kids in the high school. You have people on the bus that's supposed to be helping them, but they're guiding them down the wrong way. Right. And then some of their first experiences with sex and drugs and some of the other things that could be, leading them off the wrong way is some of the people that love them the most. In some cases, it's their own parents. And so we want to know about, what's happening, how we're going to empower our young people. Another thing is, and when he is old, he will not depart. A lot of times people wait till they get old. But there's a lot of young people not making it to old age.
That's right.
That's so true.
Right? Because there's another verse in the Bible that says, honor your father and your mother, that your days will be long on the earth,
That's
right?
right.
So therefore, they're being taught, or they learn in that first part of training that, they could be dishonorable to their parents and it's not going to matter. But that's why they're dying in the streets. That's just one of my things.
Well, that's another show.
Yes, that's a whole nother show, because we talked about that too.
Right.
Because I was up at the Million Mom March not too recently, and there's a lot of mothers crying about their dead sons because of what they've been taught and how they've been raised. So when we talk about empowering and develop our youth, we want to keep them from dying in the streets. So that's one of the reasons why we're here. Another thing is mass conclusions. The consciousness, they're confused. They don't know the difference between even being a boy or a man. I'm going to be down in Hampton coming up the end of this month, speaking at the men's conference. It's actually a ladies' conference, Divine Concept Group. And it's a conversation with God about boys to men. How do we as males really impact our young people and our young men and males to be who they were born to be? Right now, we just had a law change in the United States of America that says it doesn't matter what you are. But you've been born for a purpose, and you've been born and created from the womb. So how are you going to come to the earth and then have somebody change that? So we have to really look at developing them. We're talking about gender
letters today.
They're talking about, raising men. There are some women that are raising men, and they're only raising them with no male interaction. What I like is the fact that there are a lot of men like myself who get involved with young men regardless of the fact if that's your son or your daughter or
That's
your
wonderful.
whomever. Biological doesn't matter.
Right.
And I can just remember I was a T-ball coach years ago. I was a T-ball coach. And there was this little kid, and his dad was like going nuts about him walking the bases. And I said, he's not going around the bases. He wants to play with the flowers. He needs to get on the base. You need to run around. So he grabs him up. And as a coach, I had to intervene now as an advocate for this young kid. Because it's like, he's not into this. This is your dream.
Right.
He wants to play with
Oh my gosh.
That's a powerful statement, because I think that it's important for a parent to tap into what are the gifts in my child, what's in my child, and they should begin to mold and shape that vision in that child, because that vision has been downloaded in that child from God.
Right. And we talked before they ever showed up on earth. He said, before I knew you,
Right.
you were in your mother, before your mother's womb, I
So
knew
to try
you.
to carry out your life and your vision in your child today, wrong.
Right.
It is. And then you're giving them confusion. Because it's
Exactly.
mass confusion, because they don't know what am I here for. And then some people have come to the point where they say, well, you know what? My life doesn't matter. That's why you have a huge number of young people who are killing themselves because of their identity crisis. Because they're not sure if am I man? Am I white? Am I black? What am I? Who am
New
I?
Right.
form of identity theft.
Theft. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's hot. Identity
it is.
theft. And if you see on the picture, I had this young male. This is a male that they actually asked him, hey, we want to change your gender. So half of the picture, he's a male, and the other half, he's a female.
Do we have that slide?
Yeah,
Mike?
it's on the developing our youth. If you could put that up real quick. The next one. It should you'll see a young man his hand is being held by his father. But anyway, in that picture, go back a couple. It says developing our youth.
There
There you go.
is.
If you look down on the bottom slide, this is a number of young people who volunteered for this to actually talk about gender identification. And one of the things that we talk about is young men who are being raised by women who also, for some reason, not all women, but some women think that the way that you make a man is by force and power on them. Whooping them into submission, beating them to be a man. Stand up and man up. What's the matter with you?
Right.
You need to man up.
Right.
You heard that. I tell a story in my book, No More Crumbs from the Table, where my aunt, she actually sent me out to fight. My mom sent me out to fight too when I was 5. But it was a little bit different because it was the 35 cents. She put a quarter in his hand and a dime in his hand and said, go out there and, restore yourself, right? So I went out as a little kid to fight. And I'm not an advocate of violence, but what I did remember is that when I got older, I was a teenager and I was also sent out to fight. But this time it was to go fight your brother, because you need to learn how to fight better. And I just remember being out in the grass, having to fight my brother, which was my first cousin, and she was in the window. And she was saying, you know, you don't want to be, and she gave me the F word, you know, you don't want to be a faggot, you want to be a man. And I just remember that. Now, I didn't learn to be a man from that
Of course not.
experience.
Right.
It was all the other things that I was exposed to that helped me do that. So, you know, we have effeminate men also raised by women that unfortunately grandma might have said, you know, this is the way you have to do it. And they're being confused. And then you have some males who are doing the same thing because they're raping their sons. They're raping their daughters. And it's unfortunate, but that's what's happening. So, you know, when we talk about youth empowerment, we need to go and see who's in the village.
True.
Because if the village is sick
That's right.
and it takes a village to raise a child,
True.
I think we have some problems.
Yeah,
Yes.
what are we raising?
Yes.
Right.
Because it says train. See,
Right.
train up a child. That's what the Bible says. So let's take the first two words. Train up. Not train down.
Right.
Not train across. Not give them just your opinion. Training. When you're in training, you have to do some things. You have to strip away some things. You have to build some things. You have to even rebuild some things. Just their concepts on what they think and how
Yes.
they think about the world and how the world works.
Yes.
Before we started, I asked about your program where you have people going to a different nation to learn. You know, they need exposure to see that there's bigger than their little neighborhood.
Exactly.
They need to get on a bus, on a train, on a boat, on something. Just walk, but get out the neighborhood.
Right.
So you can see that the world is a lot bigger than what you are exposed to.
And even with my organization, American Life Caribbean Mission, I think one of the strongest things that I saw was in a third world country really seeing poverty. That really affected me. To one young man that I was mentoring in the inner city, at one point he got in touch and said he hadn't eaten for 3 days.
Right.
It broke my heart. And one of my godsons in Jamaica, I have ways of connecting with him to get food to people that have a need there. And I told Gary, I said, this is breaking my heart. I live in America. I've not talked to anybody that's telling me I haven't eaten in 3 days.
Well, see, this is the thing. If you go to some schools today, especially right here in D.C., they'll tell you that. They haven't. Because what's happening now, we have to go into the school system and actually feed them because they can't function.
Right.
Right.
Because they missed 3 or 4 meals.
Right.
They haven't eaten. They waited for somebody to come home, and the only person that's taking care of them or training them up is themselves and the TV.
Right.
You know, and it says in the Bible also, a child left to himself will bring his mother pain. That's a serious thing. So let's move to the next slide, please. And we talk about youth empowerment, and there's a picture of 2 people. One is an 18-year-old who gets kicked out of foster care. And another is a 9-year-old, now 10, I believe, who was empowered to start his own business.
Yeah.
And Mo's Bows. So what's the difference between these 2 people? It's the people that are around them.
Exactly.
It's the village. In one picture, one person has been thrown out. You're done. You're 18. Get out on the streets. You know, Tupac said, when I was 17 years old, me and mama had beef, kicked out on the streets. Right? So that's the same kind of thing. And now the streets are the ones making all the decisions. So we have to help them move into a better place by empowering them. So let's listen to this quick video clip, and then I'll come back on in.
This summer, only 1 in 4 U.S. teenagers will hold a job, and in major cities like Chicago, the rate is even worse. In addition to job losses from the economic crisis, thousands of young people are out of work this year as a result of cuts to the city's youth employment programs. For young people trying to pay for college by working over the summer, finding a job is almost impossible.
I'm out for the summer. I am in college, a college student, about sophomore, junior year. So I've been looking for months now. Took job training courses and still hard to find a job. Restaurants, retail, pretty much everywhere. Department stores like Sears, Macy's, all over in different restaurants like Chipotle and places that you hear that are hiring and you still apply and you still don't hear back from them. I've kept records of how many places I've applied to and like all. So it's been over 30. I could say like, you know, paper applications, online applications, and just recently I called back to some of those places that I applied to. It's got much worse because we're in a recession. We're competing not only with other teams, but like people who worked in businesses and they've been laid off and they have jobs like at Best Buy, you know, the teenage jobs.
I have a teenage son who's straight on a road student and has gone through a lot of the employment agencies that they have through the city, through the mayor's office. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, see, so that's a lot to talk about and a
Yeah.
lot. We don't have a lot of time for it, but the jobless rate of the youth. When I talked about unemployment for young people who are disabled, the numbers are 70 to 80%, depending on where you read, 70 to 80%. Wow. And then when you talk about young people, 1 in 4, they don't even have a clue. And then when they do go to an employer, a lot of times they don't even know how to put their best foot forward. They don't know which foot to put out. I interview people and I hire people, and I actually had to fire 2 people in the last month or so for dumb stuff like not showing up to work, or one particular person poured water on somebody's head, because they was upset or what have you. Another person snatched somebody's jewelry from them, saying if you don't do this, then you can't get your jewelry back. This is stuff that they're doing at work. So we also have to help them. International unemployment rate is just as high. It's ridiculous. College grads now are wondering what to do because they have to take a minimum wage job. You got a BA, and just last week I interviewed 2 master's degrees for a $30,000 job.
Wow.
They're competing for a $30,000 job. Yep. So youth programs all over. The federal government has a number of different initiatives right now. And what we're going to be doing is posting some show notes to kind of connect people to some of these federal programs. And then the fact that people are coming out of college with debt. And debt is really destroying our young people. They're coming out of college and they don't know that once they start that job, they still now have to start paying that debt.
Right. 6 months.
And
after
before they
That's
can
right.
get even
That's
so
right.
started, they're already behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
Next slide, please. So, this is something that we just have to do some better work with. And again, this is just the tip, not even the tip of the iceberg. But here's something I want to introduce you to if you haven't heard of it. It's called Developing the 40 Assets. This is the 40 assets of people for success. And there's a few areas I just want you to really kind of pay attention to. One of them is support. They need our support. They need to keep that up, Mike, because it's a lot of stuff there for people to kind of gather. But you see the 2 pictures too, and the young people having businesses. Empower and not say how. Don't say how. Say wow. Okay, that's your idea. Wow. Let me see how I can make that happen. Help them set real boundaries that matter, positive boundaries. Talk about their values. A lot of times they're getting values from TV. Right now, the big thing was Empire, and we don't even have time to even talk about that. But it swooped in on us, and everybody's like, oh, did you see Cookie? Did you see her son? She beat him with a broom. Yeah, okay, but he called her BITCH.
Yes, he did.
So where does that come from? And how do we sit there and say that that's okay? So our social competency is yearning, okay? And then 3 more areas, positive use of time. A lot of our young people have no idea what to do with their time. So we want to make sure that we get them in a position to understand that time is valuable because you don't know how much you have. Nobody knows when the golden thread is going to run out. So they think they have forever because it does say train up a child. And when he is old, they've equated old for old age versus old being older tomorrow. And then, of course, you have commitment to learn. And then the last one is identity. So you can go ahead and let that go, Mike. But identity, because, see, where do they get the identity? We need to get our identity from the Bible. We need to get the identity from a biblical foundation. Now, when Jesus came on the earth, he came in and said, wait a minute, you guys are doing things this way. Here's a different way. And it was really just a way. So we can help understand how to communicate the way of the word. Then we can help communicate the excellence of the word. See, because in that, God teaches us to get around people. He said a fool will be easily separated from his money.
That's right.
He tells us to seek wisdom while you're young. It's a principle thing. And with it, get what? Understanding. So these are all principles that have been kind of snatched out of the Bible and turned into the secret.
You're right.
That's a whole nother story.
That's right. You're right.
But and you had something. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about fear, how fear hinders a lot of people from being who God has called them to be. And I'll go back to that story with one of those godsons in Jamaica. one of my godsons got an opportunity for him to go for a job interview. This was 3 years ago. And on the day of the interview, it was like he almost froze and was not going to the interview. And in that beautiful accent, Gary got on the phone and said, "Man, you best get yourself to the job, man. Go there and do the interview, man. Like, me got this for you. I don't know how you're going to get there, but you going."
So he was a soldier in the village. Because see, we need soldiers in the village.
So Gary just became that big brother and really said, "You're going to that interview." Sean got to that interview. Sean has that job.
All right.
And Sean does not call anymore saying, "I haven't eaten in 3 days."
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's give Sean the whoop
All
whoop, right?
Where's the bell?
So
Ding,
listen,
ding, ding, ding.
so here's a few things that we got to put out there for youth empowerment. We got to help them with mentorships. And when I say mentorships, it doesn't have to be a formal mentor. It could be anybody that's around that has some success in their life or has shown ability to think and critical thinking. I was jogging this morning. I actually started jogging, guys. And I ran into this 33-year-old guy jogging, and he was talking about empowerment as well. And he said, his dad gave some books to him and said, "Read this book." A lot of times we're not given books to read, so we have to help them. But he talked about mentoring and how he found somebody in the book and he just started doing what they were doing. He didn't know them. It wasn't formal. Right. But he started doing what they were doing. And
mentoring is very
Right.
contagious, because once you give to a person and you start that in their life, that fire gets in that person and they start to duplicate what you've given into their life because of the gratitude of it.
And they see it. So you're building confidence. That's another thing. We need to give them opportunities and let them experience different things. I put my sons in certain things just to see how they're going to react to it, so I can learn where I'm going to teach them. Because some things they might learn from just their engagement, Another thing is education and career support, understanding that you might choose, basket weaving. Okay, cool. I'm not going to sit there and now downgrade that. There's a movie with Robin Williams, and it was called, I can't think of the name of the movie, but there was a guy in there who wanted to be an actor, but his parents wanted him to be a dentist. And he winds up committing suicide.
Wow.
Because it was such a pressure to do what his parents wanted him to do versus what he really wanted to do. So we have to look at that. And, on that show on Mother's Day, I talked about a 4-year-old who understood the God principle in him, that his mother says, I had to go get him his own briefcase and his business card. So at 4, he's walking around with a briefcase and a business card, and he has his own business. So these are different things.
Fabulous.
Scholarships, college scholarship, apprenticeship programs. People are sleeping on apprenticeships. There are thousands of apprenticeships. If you have to go out of the state to go get an apprenticeship, go. If it's in California or it's in Kalamazoo, go and get what you need to get a part-time job real quick, and then come on back and do whatever you want to do, but get that learning, because that's the other thing that we don't have. I know we got to wrap up. And just wanted to talk about service and social advocacy. I'm a social advocate no matter where I go, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. You just can't talk to those people over there. You should mind your business. I hear that all the time. I get in people's business. The village needs people to get in their business.
Right.
One of the things you talked about, and you said real quick, and it was a picture up there that kind of goes along with it, because it was third world country. Well, there's a third world country right in Baltimore.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
There's a third world
Yes.
country
Yes.
in New York. There's a
Yes,
third
it is.
world country right here in D.C. So, go to Southeast and see if it's there. We need to look in our own neighborhoods too, and
Absolutely.
really go in there and be the ones that bring the hands. Because if we are the body, why aren't these hands reaching? Right? That's that one song. If we are the body, why aren't our minds thinking? Why are we not doing what God has put us on the earth to do? He can't come. He's not coming down from heaven to do anything. He's empowered us to do what we need to do. So anyway, I just want to kind of wrap up on that. I want to say thank you guys for, giving me this opportunity to get talking. But, reach out to Facebook, because I'm looking to come to your neighborhood, your school, your area, to talk to your young people and put a program together. I have the Respect from Me to You program. That program empowers young people to understand, first of all, it'll help them against bullying. That was the original thought. But it also talks about respect your mom and dad, your neighborhood, your gifts, your talent, and what you help me understand your tag,
Okay.
your talent, ability, and
And
gift.
gift.
I'm Dwayne Ross with No More Crumbs from the Table, and I'm just having a good time. How y'all doing?
All right,
We're
all
great.
right.
It's the chop.
Yeah, Dwayne is out there on social media. I think we have a slide that has all of his contact information, but he is out there just as he is here today, Dwayne Ross. You can reach him on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and
All that stuff right there.
yeah, even his own website. So thank you very much.
But if you
Dwayne.
do IAM.DwayneRoss.com on Facebook, that'll be cool. Or DwayneRoss.com, and you get everything. So just go to the website, DWAYNEROSS.com, and have a passion for life.
All right. So we are going to shift.
That means video.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, you know what, Felicia?
Yes.
You also kind of text that there was a musician that you wanted us to take a look at, and maybe he could do some opening or some closings or something on our program.
Minister Papa San.
Okay, well, you know what? I took
familiar
a
with it.
collage of your pictures
Oh,
together
wow.
with a song that he produced with Israel Holt Lecrae and a few other folks. And so, Mike, if you could roll that video as we
Fabulous.
introduce Felicia.
Lord, you are what I need. The revival breeze is blowing all around you and me. It captured my heart and made me say, oh, la, 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 la. Israel, I got a song in my heart. I wanna sing it. I got a word in my mouth. Just wanna speak it. Whoa, I can feel it in the air. Revival everywhere. Spirit is moving. Spirit is moving. I lift my hands to say, I surrender to your name. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Lord, you are what I need. The revival breeze is blowing all around you and me. It captured my heart and make me say, oh, la, 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 la. Yo, been there, done that. People dead, gunshot. Crazy head, mad max. Coke head, crack pot. Overdose, relapse. Prostitute, hot spot. Need a revival, feel wheel and come. This is a spiritual climate. For the one them way you're sick, so you shall surely find it. All over the place, so get in line and shine it. For the blessing and the grace, so take up your light and shine it. Make love bust the place. Revival. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Lord. Revival. A revival time. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Revival. Oh, Lord. Revival. Yo, what's the way you fi do it? God alone. Praise him out a street. God alone. Cause him dead there for the weak. God alone. Him give strength to the meek. Oh my God. Lord, you are what I need. The revival breeze is blowing all around you and me. It captured my heart and make me say, oh, la, 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 la. Hey. I'm ready for revival. Hey.
You gotta do the dance.
Oh, we still dancing.
Okay. We are having a ball behind the scenes here. But you You recognize a lot of what was going on. I kind of stole some pictures from your
Yes,
social
you
media
did.
site.
Yes, you did.
Yes, and also it was Papa Son.
Papa Son.
That's right. You know,
His name is Tyrone Thompson, but he is Minister Papa Son. But he says when he's at home, he's husband and he's daddy.
okay.
Awesome.
And I just so love the relationship I've had with him and his wife Debbie. And in my loss, in the transition of my life, that Jamaican family stood by me. And it would be, sis, get on a plane and come. And just the love that I have received. So to have this opportunity to be here tonight and to have his music in the background, I cannot explain. We were dancing, y'all missed it.
It was wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we got you here, but how did you get here?
Well, if I say how I got here, it would be through a transition in my life that was severe disappointment and pain. But God has turned all that sorrow around, all that pain around, and I am living a wonderful life. So the book Rain on Your Face started by thinking about perspective, because some people would say, oh, it's raining, it's a dreary day. And I say, it's raining, and I'm alive to feel the rain. So on the cover of the book, you see the woman, and she's actually dressed, ready to go, and walking in the rain. And when God laid on my heart to write the book, I'm such a private person, and I thought, do what? Tell the world what? And halfway through the book, I wanted to give up. But then I heard a whisper from God. He said, that's not your book. That's my book. Give me my book.
Right.
I have plans for that book to help other people. So on the weekends, I thought I would still just relax. And next thing I started hearing a little whisper, I need my book.
Okay, that's right.
So the second one, I made sure I finished the book. And so from the book, I have also become a certified healing coach. And my profession right now is I am a wound nurse. I am a nurse, a registered nurse. And so I'm a healer of physical wounds. And now God is going to use my life to be a healer of emotional wounds.
Because the Bible says we walk in our path or our destiny from the time that we are conceived in the womb. So what I want to do is take you back to those days, because this just didn't happen. Okay, this was purpose. So what was Felicia like growing up? What was the household like?
My household growing up was a beautiful home. My mom and dad, my father is deceased, my mother is still living. So all my life, all I saw was two people love each other, stand by each other. I saw a father who believed in me, a father that said, you can do, you, by the color of your skin and your gender, being a woman, there will be people who will mistreat you. There will be people who are prejudiced towards you, but you can do and be anything you want to be.
That's right.
And I believe that. And I can remember a point in time when my dad said, I'm your father, but if there's anything you need to tell me. And we were sitting in their bedroom, and my mom was there, and he sat me down at the edge of the bed, and he said, right here, you want to walk in here and talk to me? You walk in here anytime, and you talk to me, and you tell me anything that you need. And so what has happened in our society that now those intimate places of the home have changed into places of abuse and places of mistreating our children, instead of saying, all of this intimate space in our house is sacred. The home is sacred. It's a place of healing. It's a place of peace. It's not a place where you should be cussed out.
Right.
It's not a place where you should be hit, punched, abused.
You should be able to shut the world out.
That's right.
Right. And the scripture even says that your home is your palace. It's a palace, a pavilion of peace. And so that's what I grew up seeing. I grew up having a mother, a loving mother around me, that loved, and I have two other sisters. So I saw a woman who loved her children and cooked and did those things and made family. And that's an issue I have now. And I got on one of my best friends about that. Mealtime has changed.
Right.
People are
Yes.
still texting and
Yes, at the dinner
tweeting and
table.
at the dinner
Yeah.
table. It's like, put the social media away, put the
Turn it
electronics
all off.
away, and be family
Unplug.
again.
That's
Unplug.
right,
I like
unplug.
that. Look in each other's eyes. Sometimes you hear things like, well, the child committed suicide and nobody knew.
Right.
Because we're not talking to each other. We're
Right.
not looking at each other.
Or we're
I
not
re-
talking about good stuff.
Right, right. And I remember, when I was 16, 17, and you started to go out on dates, my mom was up waiting, and it was like we didn't want to sneak in the house. We wanted to tell her everything that
Right.
happened, what he said, if he got snuck a kiss, we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that was normal for me, that you're going to talk about it. But it was also a thing, I think, that you didn't go past boundaries of what you should do because you knew I'm going to go back home and me and mom are
Well,
going to
it's
talk.
Again, one of the
respect
40
that you were
assets.
talking about.
We're
because
gonna
there's
talk.
boundaries. There's certain
Yes.
things that you can say and do, and then there's some things that's just totally off limits.
Right. And I think because my parents, oh God, they're just fabulous. They created the need for me to know what my boundaries were, but through the love, a father is the first love that a girl has.
Yes.
Henry Jameson loved Felicia,
Okay.
loved all of his girls. So
Yes.
through that love, when I got married and that love didn't reflect the love that I had gotten from a father, I knew you're not supposed to talk to me like that. You're not supposed to treat me like that. This
Right.
does not feel comfortable. I don't feel safe.
Right.
And, verbal abuse, being spoken to rudely and cussed out, that is verbal abuse.
Oh yeah, it
So
probably lasts even harder than some of the things. I'd rather you slap me than to say something that I'm going to be thinking about walking around with.
Well, Felicia, let me ask you this then. Okay, you're in this beautiful home and you're feeling loved and appreciated. But you decide one day that you want to date and you meet this man that you're dating and you marry this man. Were there any signs?
That's the hardest part for me. There weren't any. I didn't see them, nor did my family, because my former spouse came to my parents and, did the old school thing, asked for the daughter, that I will love her and care for her. So, and we were both Christians, very active in church. So when that thing switched, it was devastating. And I told someone earlier today as we were talking privately, it wasn't that I lived a facade. If I had lived a facade, I think it would have been easier to take when the divorce happened. But because there was this wonderful relationship, this person that was so nurturing and caring towards me, when the script flipped, it was so difficult and it was extremely devastating. And yes, I did do personal counseling. I am a Christian, but I felt like the stats of this, no, that's not going to be the end story for Felicia.
Well, exactly. And I think, to your point, a lot of women, particularly professional women, can't see it coming. They just can't.
Right.
And so there are a lot of women who get into situations where they are demeaned and they just take it. Or they are abused verbally and physically, and they just think that he's going to change one day, and they just take it. And then that environment becomes so comfortable for them that they accept it. They don't change.
And some of the studies that I did, it was some women who never left that until they were like 60, 70 years old. I'm like, no.
Right.
And I think because I had...
They wanted to have that picture on the wall, because I talk about it in one of my classes too, because they'll have this beautiful picture. Everybody's smiling because everybody says, say cheese.
Right.
But behind the smile is all this other dance.
And you would be surprised how many people will stay in that and live in that. I couldn't do it. I could not. And the rudeness of the words, and you starting to get closer in my space. I cannot,
right.
and I will not let you start to batter me. I can't do it
Because it becomes a lifestyle.
right.
Well,
and
how
I think the
long did
fact
it take? From the I do to the first.
We were
abuse.
married
So I don't.
22 years, and it was the last 3 years of that marriage there was a switch. And I had seen a problem with anger with him, but that anger would always be with other people. But slowly, I watched that short fuse and how he would treat other people. It turned and it started coming towards me. And the thing is, I said, I will not live in a home where I can't lay down at night and feel safe.
Exactly.
Or I'm going to come home and I don't know which person I'm going to
Exactly.
get.
You walk in the door.
Ladies,
Exactly.
are you hearing this?
I was
you
not going
gentlemen,
to
are
do
you-
it. And I'm a health professional. I remember a moment when I said to myself, if this was one of your patients, what would you tell them to do? And I was like, it's time to go.
Right.
I tell them to get out. And yes, I lived in the big custom built home, all of that. But I told somebody earlier today, I left the hanger swinging.
Okay.
I had to go.
Oh, my girl.
Because I was like, I have purpose.
Yes.
That's right.
I have a destiny. My father had already taught me what healthy love was, and this is not a reflection
That's right.
of what I was taught. So I gotta go. And I knew the calling of God upon my life was to help other people. But how could I help other people if you diminish me to nothing?
That's right.
If you cause me to isolate myself because I feel so sad and depressed. And, you know, I did the thing of taking the antidepressant, started having bad dreams.
Right.
And a friend of mine is a doctor, and I called her and I said, Venedra, look, I'm just coming off. She says, you have to taper. I said, I'm not tapering anything. I'm stopping this medication because there is nothing wrong with me.
Right.
And I still have that prescription bottle today from 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I wrote healed on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Awesome.
And I never had to take anything else. I just got out. So my jingle to women is get out and stay out.
That's right. That's right. And tweet that.
Oh, that's tweetable.
Okay, so let's move forward now. We know it's not easy getting out, but once you got out, you made some changes. What were those changes?
I think the initial change that I made was that if you don't honor me, I no longer have to honor you. And I think some women keep trying to honor a covenant or something that's already broken.
That's right.
And if he's not, a husband is supposed to love the wife like Christ loved the
loves the
church
church.
and gave himself for it.
That's
When
right.
that person transitions from that, my pastor taught me this: you have a legitimate divorce because that person has broken their covenant with you. And so so I got out. And my next step was I found a good local church
Right.
with a loving pastor and first lady, Dr. Chapman and Sandy Chapman. I love them so much. They stood by me. And I think sometimes with the drama that happens in church, people, and I read,
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, we need that
and
bell.
I did my homework. I read one of the articles that you posted that women are leaving the church
Yes. Yeah.
because they get hurt.
Yes.
Because after they have a hurt and they have a trust issue, the place that they should be running to,
That's
which is
right.
the house of God for refuge and
Yes.
comfort, they don't want to go there because then the sisters are tripping out
Yes.
and acting
Yes.
crazy
That's
with each
right.
other. And so where we should be there to support each other, and that should be your place of refuge. That was my place of refuge. And I didn't need a boyfriend.
Right.
I needed to heal.
right.
And I
That's
tell women, I said, I promise you, I tell you, don't start dating. They're like, oh, you put yourself back out there, and they're going online, and I won't
All
name
that.
the sites, but they're
Yes.
going on the dating sites
They
and
haven't
thinking
healed
that is their,
themselves.
and they have not
Haven't
healed.
gone through
And
the process.
in
That's
my
right.
book, I write that if you had a cut where the two flesh shall become one, and somebody physically cuts you from that other person, you're bleeding. Okay, this is the nurse talking now.
Okay.
You're bleeding, you're oozing, and you're wrapped up with Curlex gauze, and you're getting ready to go on a date. That looks crazy.
Woo, what a picture.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're bleeding through. You having some breakthrough bleeding. You need a antibiotic. You need somebody taking your vital signs. You need to recuperate. You need to rest. Or if you had a fractured leg, you're not going to put the cast on or not put a cast on and just keep walking around on that broken lid. You have to do what? You have to isolate that lid, reset it.
That's right.
And I talk in the book about clicking delete and reset.
Yes,
So
I like that.
this book.
How timely is that?
It's the book you need because all the steps are in there.
Mike, I think we got a problem with the picture, but he's taking care of it. We're going to keep rolling.
And so there are steps you need to go through. You need to get out. And when you get out, stay out.
That's right.
You need to find a good local church so that you can have prayer, so that you can have someone ministering to you, supporting
and people that
you.
minister the actual Bible and not their opinion of all this
That's
different
right.
stuff. Because there's a lot of churches that the pastors are teaching like their opinion of what they read versus what does that Bible really say? Because they put you in bondage with the word too.
And they'll put you in bondage feeling like biblical submission is in order here.
Right.
That you need to
That's
submit.
right.
But you cannot
Right.
submit to someone who is abusing
It's
you.
like
right.
submitting
You
to something that's
cannot.
out
You
of order,
cannot.
right?
That's out of
Cannot.
order.
It's out of order.
It's out of order. And so if something is out of order and it's broken,
You don't put more money in it.
you don't put more money in it. You don't do any. You change.
just leave it alone.
And so you have to remove yourself from that so that you can heal. And you don't keep a connection. Now, if you have children, you need to get somebody to be the middle person. Because you don't need to because that abusive person has a very manipulative, controlling demeanor.
That's right.
Yes, they do.
And your spirit needs to be removed from that so that
That's
you
right.
can heal. And you need to read, you need to educate yourself. And I'm sorry, somebody hitting you, that is not love. They are not doing that because they love you so much.
That's right.
If a person is hitting you, or another level, we know about sexual abuse, but even financial abuse, that's abuse. And that's not love. And you should not leave yourself yoked to that. You need to remove yourself from that and allow your spirit and your mind to heal. I had a woman I was talking to last week, and she said, I let my ex-husband back in. It's been 6 months of difficulty, and it's Friday. Why do I want to call him tonight? And I'm looking at her like, I don't know.
Why would you want to let him back in?
Right, and you need to get in touch with why you think you're not valuable.
Exactly.
You need
Right,
to
value.
value
Exactly.
yourself.
One of the 40
You need
assets.
to value your purpose. And when you value your purpose in your life, you're going to remove yourself from that because you know there are other people on the other side waiting on the gifts and talents that are in you. My patients on a daily basis are waiting for the gifts that are in me. I am an extremely talented nurse. I work with patients with severely dehisced surgical wounds, and I know what I'm good at.
Okay.
I'm good at it. I make them smile. I see them heal. And not only is it me, I take God in there with me to say, show me what to do to care. I can't do that with a confused mind. I can't do that being in a home where you're yelling and cussing at me to 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm tired
Yeah,
and
you
go
ask
to
them to say stop and they don't stop.
you know, you can't do that. You know, with the children that I mentor and the college students that I work with in another nation, I'm called to another nation, and I know that.
Right.
And it gives me joy. There's something, and I remember one of my godsons, he said to me, I wake up every day and I think of you and I say, that lady changed my entire life. He says, and he calls me mommy. He says, mommy, nothing in my life is the same. And so even in my down moments, I thought about the future generation of people that I wanted to impact. And yes, I felt like giving up, but I felt like I can't give up.
That's right.
Suicide is not the option. I could never dishonor my children. My God, I never had biological children, but I have spiritual children who think that they are really mine.
Okay.
So I'm not letting anybody make a call and go over to Jamaica to say, mommy took her life, mommy gave up.
Right.
You know, from my life, they have seen my strength. They have seen my
Well, you
perseverance.
had to see your value too.
But
That's
Right.
one of the
One of the
things.
things I heard you say when you talked about hearing the voice of God to say, it's not your book, it's mine. And then you
Yes.
said the second time he spoke and said, "Give me the book." You said, "Okay, I'm gonna do this." And what I got from that was the fact that you realized that you had to honor him.
Yes.
And for me, that's the big picture, male, female. At the point that you decide that you understand you have to use your life to honor him,
Yes.
guess what? Answers just seem to come from nowhere. Because
Yes, they
what
do.
do I do? How do I handle this? Guess what? I want to honor God. Like you just said, how can I honor God in a confused state?
That's
How can I
right.
honor God from a place of fear when he says, I haven't given you a spirit of fear?
Right.
Absolutely.
How can you,
That's right.
from a non-faith, when he said, "I've given you even a mustard seed of
That's
faith,
right.
and you can accomplish all things." And you said when you started, how you can do anything.
Right.
You know,
And that's what my
anything.
dad taught me,
Boundless.
and I
Your dad
believe
gave you that foundational truth.
Right. And, at age, I got married when I was 24. And at age 24, I didn't know that I was going to be the founder and director of American Life Caribbean Mission.
Right. Right.
So I couldn't even tell you that's who I'm going to be. But you need to be with a person that grows with you.
Right.
Yes.
And that they celebrate you. And when God brings the different layers and unfold you and open you up like the rose, that they celebrate.
Shows you off.
Yeah, that they celebrate
Yes.
that. They should be like, "Babe, I'm so proud of
Right.
you. Look, what
Look
can
what-
I do to
Yeah.
help?"
Right.
You know?
But
Right.
that's part of the first clue, because if they're not honoring God, there's no way they
They're
can
gonna honor
honor
you.
you as you honor God.
Right. Because they don't
That's
see the
right.
reflection of God. They only
And
see
what I tell women, I say, and then you have to, because we're so emotionally made. And I just finished a healing coach certification with Mind, Body, Spirit Academy. And we always say there are facts and there are feelings. But he taught me with the feelings, it's some factual things in there, and you can't separate the two. The feelings carry a lot of factual information,
Yes.
and you need to look at what is it
That's
that you're
right.
feeling. Why am I
Right.
fearful? Why? And for some women, they will stay in something because of one silly thing. I fear being alone.
Wow.
And in the book, okay, I can show
Yeah.
them.
We love you, Mike.
I do a little snippet called Alone at Last. And it got so good, I did Alone at Last Part 2.
Okay.
And I began to let people know the wonderful things about being alone. And there was one thing I wanted to read to you really quickly here. And I shared a few signs that how you will know that you're beginning to heal and you can experience life without that fear and pain. And it was going to a movie alone, asking for a table for one at a fancy restaurant, driving to the beach alone, going to an elegant evening event alone, looking cute,
Okay.
taking care of your own auto repairs, finding new contacts for financial and business matters, organizing your home repair needs, setting up your spa day on your birthday, taking your summer vacation trip alone, and you don't panic about being alone the entire weekend. You wake up ready to enjoy the day. And you don't cry the whole entire weekend because you enjoy being your own best friend.
I love it.
I think that should be
Oh my
a
gosh,
prerequisite, right?
yes.
You say, you get ready to get another relationship? Wait and see. Let me see about your alone time. Tell me
Exactly.
about your alone
Alone
stuff. And they
time.
should they should be able to
Right.
sit all of that whole
That's
list.
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I remember those fabulous moments in my singleness. And I did a writing called Love Being Single because I pray that God has another soulmate for me in marriage. But if not, right now, I can tell you, I wake up happy.
Yes.
I run out of stuff to do I run out of day
Right.
Right.
on the weekend because I have so many
much to do.
things that,
Right.
I rediscovered me.
Yes.
Right.
I rediscovered what I liked.
Rediscovered.
I would have on classical music and it was just like, wow, I
Yeah.
forgot how much I liked
That's
classical
right.
Yes.
music.
That's right. Yes.
Or going to a local play. I forgot how much, or when, we have the American Dance Festival in the Carolinas and going to a dance
And just hanging out.
show at night, to see ballet, things like that. And I think that is a powerful thing to be alone because in that alone time, God is going to redefine who
Right.
you are.
Right.
And in that redefinition, you get refocused. Like I said, you click delete, reset, also you get to the point where you say, what is it that you want from my life now? And you have an empty canvas where you can begin to let God paint that picture of what you're supposed to be and do.
So let me ask you to then speak to someone, because I know our time is coming up on the hour, but I want to read something from Beautiful Girl, and it's: the path of death is not the answer for you. Beautiful girl, don't think about the pills or any way to harm yourself. Beautiful girl, you are lovely, and there is a plan, there is a way out of this pain. Beautiful girl, yes, I'm still talking to you.
That is the way I opened the book Rain on Your Face. And I was actually in Aruba alone. And I saw a little girl playing on the beach. And I began to write this because that beautiful little girl is in every woman.
Yes.
And when there is a divorce, when there is disappointment, when there is abuse, you can start to feel that you're not beautiful anymore because there is a rejection that you feel. So in writing that, I was saying out to every woman that will get Rain on Your Face in her hands to read it, to say, you are simply beautiful.
Yes, you
Don't
are.
take those pills. Don't think about ending your life. It's a cry. It's like a poetic vibe with that when I'm crying out to say, girl, you better live. Come on, live.
Yes.
Live and see
Woo,
your
I can
purpose.
feel you pushing like
Yeah,
it.
live and see your destiny. There's so much ahead, you know, and I'm writing to that woman to say, you know, I want to know you made it out. Like, get out. You can get out. You can be free. There is a whole beautiful life waiting on you. And with some of the pictures that I have to promote the book, I'm holding a coffee cup. And the
Yes.
reason why I'm holding that coffee cup, I'm saying, girl, get you a latte, cappuccino, and let's talk about
Yes.
Sit down.
Get your
right.
coffee, girl. Let's talk about this.
Let
you
me
know,
tell you something, Felicia. I taught empowered women take back your finances. I brought it into the faith-based organization. And I remember the first night that I was teaching that class, one of the ladies there had left her husband because he was abusive to her, grabbed her two little girls who was witnessing all of this, and fled for her life. She sat in that class, and I mean, you just saw distraught all over her face. It was like a little play out of Ike and Tina Turner. She went up to the closest apartment complex, asked the property manager, do you have one bedroom? I don't care. I need some safe place for me and my daughter. And he rented to her. By the time she finished that class, 8 weeks later, her whole countenance changed. You could not even say that was the same
person.
woman. Yes.
Because it wasn't.
That's exactly.
She was
Just bringing that
transformed.
freedom.
Transformed by the
because
freedom.
there's something in a person taking that type of authority over you. They're stripping you of something. And I
Right.
can remember when I got out, I could see sadness in my eyes, but I saw when the joy came back. And my best friend Crystal, she broke down in tears because I'm a very humorous person. And when the humor came back, she just cried and she was like, my friend is back.
back.
You're
Yes.
back.
That's
You're
awesome.
back.
Yes. Well,
That's
you know,
awesome.
Felicia, we got to wrap this up.
Yes.
So I want you to take about 30 seconds to look in that camera up there and tell your connections out there how they can get in touch with you.
So I will say that you can reach me through FeliciaJameson.com. You can purchase the book there. That is my website. You can also send me an email through that site. And my desire is that you be whole, that you be healthy, that you walk in your destiny and your purpose. So if you're out there and you need help, reach out to us and we will connect you with people. We will walk with you through that and encourage you and see you healed. Get you a latte.
That's right.
Let's talk about this,
Okay,
girl.
okay, all right. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see Felicia Jameson again, and you can connect with her out there on Skype and everything else. And I think we have got to wrap this program up.
Where'd the time go?
Wait, do they
Yes.
do karaoke alone?
Okay, well, we're going to
Papa
be
style,
back next week. We're going to be back next week, and you know, between now and then, we want you to be safe,
Safe,
be
be
smart,
smart,
and
and
be
be
healthy.
healthy.
Bye bye.